After a successful weekend yesterday and throughout Week 7, I will give you another 6 players that you need to succeed for the single game Showdown captain mode slate on DraftKings as the shockingly 5-1 Chicago Bears take on the 4-2 Los Angeles Rams in their brand new $5 billion SoFi Stadium. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having simulated over a couple 100,000 different combinations and permutations of roster builds, here are your locks and lotteries for Monday Night Football tonight, October 26, 2020. If you like this kind of fast-paced calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineups throughout the season, including a Thursday Night Football video in a few days. To start off the lineup, there are actually 2 players my model considered slotting in at MVP, as they both had significantly higher projections than anyone else. Those 2 players are Jared Goff and Allen Robinson. Out of the top 15 lineups simulated ranked by projected fantasy points, all 15 included both Goff and Robinson, which is why they are both locks for tonight. The question remains, though, as to which one should occupy the 1.5 times position, as they were both within a single point of each other's projections according to my calculations. Plus, the simulated lineups included 7 options with Goff at MVP and 7 with Robinson at MVP, so it seems we've reached the end of the line for what the numbers can help us say, which is why I'm offering a lineup that can afford to take either option here at MVP. Some factors that may come into play include Chicago's tough defense, ranking 3rd against quarterbacks and averaging less than 1 passing touchdown allowed per game, which will certainly negatively affect Goff's outlook, or the Rams' defense, ranking 1st against receivers and allowing just under 210 passing yards per game to offenses, which is 4th in the league. At the end of the day, there are pros and cons to weigh for either player, but for the sake of living up to my namesake, I'll just take Goff at MVP with Robinson at flex and get on with it. For the third lock of this lineup, my model selected the cheapest player you'll be able to find who also has the potential to score 10 or more fantasy points, that being Anthony Miller. Clocking in at just $2,200 on DraftKings, Miller is by far the most underrated player my model found, as although his yardage per reception isn't the best, he still is the 3rd or 4th best receiving option on the Bears, sitting behind Robinson and Jimmy Graham, but right next to Darrell Mooney. Miller certainly gets his opportunities on the team too, averaging just over 4 targets per game, which is plenty for a player who only costs a couple $1,000. Also, as number 3 or 4, Miller has the chance to get a touchdown reception at some point tonight, as he's already come down with 2 this season. During those 2 games in which Miller found the end zone, he was able to score 13 or more fantasy points that game, which would certainly exceed any expectations for a player at his price. Even if he doesn't get lucky with a score tonight though, he saves enough money for the rest of the guys such that if he ends up with another game around 5 fantasy points, the rest of the cast should still be able to make up for this dip in points, which is why he remains a lock. For the 4th and final lock of this lineup, my model picked David Montgomery. With Tariq Cohen out for the season, Montgomery has begun to assume his much larger and much expanded role in the backfield for the Bears, scoring more than 10 fantasy points over the past 3 games, as well as recording 19 rush attempts last game alone. His utility carries over through the air as well, as Montgomery has managed nearly 5 receptions per game from weeks 4 through 6. For the first lottery, given the amount of cash we've got left in the budget, I think you might have an idea of where I'm going with this pick. Big pull, Nick Foles. The reason I'm hesitant with Chicago's new starting quarterback is because he hasn't really blown away anyone with his performance and is yet to have a breakout game. Over the past 4 weeks, Foles peaked at 18.2 fantasy points, averaging 15.3 overall, and has thrown exactly 1 interception in all of those games. Additionally, aside from that 18.2 peak in week 3, Foles only managed 1 lone touchdown in each game from weeks 4 through 6, but even then, an average around 15 fantasy points is the best we can do at this point, given the overarching lackluster expectations from basically everyone offered in this slate. Plus, who knows, maybe that one breakout game can finally come tonight for the former Super Bowl MVP. For the last pick of this lineup, I'll be going with the most random position in fantasy, one of the kickers. I say one of them because you'll be able to pick your poison here between Sam Sloman or Cairo Santos, who are both kickers playing tonight. That's honestly about as much certainty as I have on either of these guys, but if it's any consolation, Sloman's priced higher and it looks satisfying to spend all $50,000 even. That's what my model was able to come up with for the Monday Night Football Showdown Captain mode on DraftKings tonight, October 26, 2020. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.